Assalamu alaikum everybody, you are watching my YouTube channel Realizing Knowledge. In this video we will be discussing two types of verbs, that are regular and irregular verbs. So first we define what are regular verbs. The verbs whose past and past participle forms are formed by adding ed to the base form are called regular verbs. We know that there are three forms of verb that are usually called as first, second, and third forms of verb, and they are also called present, past, and past participle. So, if we add ed at the end of the base form and or at the end of the first form of verb, and that form is converted into second and third, then that form is called that verb is called regular verb. For example, in first example, ask. Ask is a regular verb because if we add ed at the end of this verb, it becomes asked and asked, which are second and third forms of this verb. So in next example, if we add only d at the end of the verb, it becomes second and third form of the verb, so it is also a regular verb. And in third example, at the end of the verb is a y, so uh, we remove y and we just add ied at the end of the verb to make its second and third form of verb. So all these three varieties of verb are considered as regular verb. So we can learn from these three examples that it is not necessary that we always have to add ed at the end of the verb. Addition of ed or d depends on the letter that is present at the end of the verb. Like in the first example, it ends in k, so we add ed at its end. And in the second example, which is like, e is already present at the end of the verb, so we don't need to add another e uh, after it, we just add d. While in third example, Mary ends in a letter y, so we remove this letter and we add ied. In this way, I have mentioned three cases in which regular verbs are in which second and third forms are formed in case of regular verbs. Now we will discuss how to pronounce these different types of verbs. I mean to say different types of regular verbs. Now if we start from the first line, the ending ed of the regular verb will be pronounced as t sound instead of d sound. Usually we know that we may say that we should pronounce every regular verb that ends in ed as having d sound at the end, but it is not necessary that we should always pronounce ed ending as a d sound. It depends upon what letters are present at the end of the verb. So in the first example, the ed will be pronounced as t when the last letter of the verb is k, ch, sh, x, double s, and f, e.g. cooked, cooked. It means that as we can see that in the verb cook, the last letter of the verb is k. So if any one of these letters is present at the end of the verb, then that the ed that is present after the letter will be pronounced as t sound rather than normal d sound. Similarly, we can say that in second example that I have mentioned, past, ed ending will be pronounced as t sound also here, because the last letter that is present at the end of the verb is double s. Past, it will not be pronounced as past. Same is the case with next example, washed. In this example, ed will be pronounced as t again, because the last letters that are present in the verb are sh. Here I must explain something, that these rules are actually based on natural needs, natural demands. I mean, if we try to pronounce the words past or past, you must feel that pronouncing past is easier than pronouncing past. So naturally, our our physical structure of our tongue or other parts that produce sounds, that parts will find ease in producing the sound t rather than d. So I must say that, and we must accept this, that rules are not rules should not govern nature. Nature governs rules, and rules are actually formed according to nature. All the rules are uh, according to nature. It means to say that pronouncing past is naturally easier than pronouncing past. I mean, this is not a rule that we should always pronounce it as past or past. Naturally, it is easier to pronounce these words as past, washed, cooked, etc. Now in second case, the same ed ending will be pronounced as id, and when it will be pronounced as it when the last letter of the verb is t, t or d. For example, in want and end. So the second and third forms of want will be pronounced as wanted and ended. So these are the rules. You can apply this rule to all the verbs that end in that ends in t and d letter. In third case, the ed ending will be pronounced as d when there is any other letter at the end of the verb. For example, in play, close, and call. Because in these verbs don't end in the letters that are present in first case and in the second case. So in this case, the ed will be pronounced simply as d sound, as in played, closed, and called. Now we will see what are irregular verbs. We have already discussed what are regular verbs, which are actually the verbs that whose second and third forms are formed by adding ed at the end of the verb. So all other types of verbs whose second and third forms are not formed according to that style are called irregular verbs. And there are four types of irregular verbs, and according to these four types we can easily recognize irregular verbs. The first type of irregular verbs is when present, past and past participle, I mean all three forms of verbs are same. For example, in case of cut, cut and cut, first, second and third forms are same. So these are a type of irregular verbs. In second case, when a present and past participle forms, it means first and third forms are same. For example, run, ran, run. In this example, first form and third form are same. So this is also a type of irregular verb. And in third case, when past and past participle means second and third form of verb are same. For example, bring, brought, brought. In this example, second and third form are same. So this is also another type of irregular verb. In next case, when all the three forms are different, this is also another type of irregular verb. For example, take, took, taken. In this example, all the three forms of verb have different sounds and different you can say spellings. This is also another type of irregular verbs. So dear viewers, I hope you must enjoyed this video, and you must have enjoyed this video, sorry, self correction, and kindly watch my upcoming videos. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.